This is lesson 2 in the fractions unit. We are multiplying fractions today. So the rule behind multiplying fractions is really simple, but there are some nuances to it to make it as easy as possible for yourself to get your answers fully reduced. So the rule is simply that we multiply the numerators and we multiply the denominators. Okay, so for a simple example here, we have 5 over 6 times 1 over 7, and we're just going to simply multiply the numerators together. So 5 times 1 is 5, and we're going to multiply the denominators together. 6 times 7 is 42. So we get 5 over 42. We reduce it if we can. This one can't be reduced, so we just leave it as our final answer. Okay, let's try another one. This time we have a whole number, but the rule doesn't change. So any whole number can be written as a fraction. It's just simply out of 1. So this time again, we're going to multiply the numerators together, 2 times 3, and we're going to multiply the denominators together, 11 times 1. So we'll get 6 out of 11. Okay, and finally, for any mixed numbers, we do need to change them to improper fractions first before we use our rule. So to change 1 and 2/5 into an improper fraction, we multiply 1 times 5, which is 5, and we add on 2. So it'd be 7 out of 5. And now we're going to multiply. So we just multiply 7 times 7, and we multiply 10 times 5. So here we get 49 out of 50. Okay. Here is where we add something. Okay, so all of these you might notice that they could not, or they did not need to be reduced at the very end. But often we do need to reduce. And it's much more simple if we reduce before we multiply. That's very important. Otherwise, we're going to end up with really big numbers that are hard to reduce. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, let's say we have this example. I'm going to put here what not to do first. What not to do. Okay, what you don't want to do is just simply use the rule blindly without thinking. So we multiply across 39 times 7. Ooh, what even is that? That is 273. And multiply 14 times 39. That is 546. But this fraction needs to be reduced, and the numbers are so big it's hard to think of what to reduce them by. So it turns out I can divide them both by, I think I can divide them by 39. So 273, see how long this is taking? 273 divided by 39 is 7. And 546 divided by 39 is 14. And then I can still reduce it even more. You can divide it by 7. You get 1/2. So 1/2 is the answer, but you don't want to do that because the numbers you end up with are so big and you do all this extra work. You can actually reduce before. And the math that you end up doing is much more simple. So you want to use this trick. I'm going to show you how to do it. You might have noticed that when we reduced above in that question, when I first did it, I divided by the same things I ended up multiplying by in the first place. So what we want to look for here is anything that can be reduced where we have a number in the numerator and the denominator. So for example, we have, let me use a different color here, 7 and 14. One number's in the numerator, one number's in the denominator. That means I can reduce them before we even start. So I can divide both of those numbers by 7. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right away. So if I divide 7 by 7, I get 1. And if I divide 14 by 7, I get 2. So that fraction reduces to 1 over 2. And now same with the 39 over 39. We can reduce that. So 39 divided by 39 is 1. And 39 divided by 39 is 1. So in fact, what I multiply by is 1 over 2 times 1 over 1. And that's just 1 over 2. Okay, so if we reduce before we multiply, the multiplication we end up doing is often really straightforward rather than involving these really big numbers. Okay, let's practice doing that a couple more times. So remember, you can reduce anything that is in the numerator with anything that is in a denominator when you're multiplying. So here, I'm going to look at my 21 and 14. We can see that we can divide those by 7. So if I divide 14 by 7, I get 2. And if I divide 21 by 7, I get 3. Okay. And then let's look at the other two numbers, 20 and 50. As long as one's in the numerator, one's in the denominator, we can reduce them. We can divide both of those by 10. So we get 2 and 5. So what I'm actually multiplying by here is 2 over 3 times 2 over 5. They're reduced numbers. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 5 is 15. Now, we didn't have to do this, but if we multiplied just without reducing, we would get really, really big numbers. Like 20 times 14 is a really large number, and same with 21 times 50. So it's much easier to reduce first. Okay, let's do one final one. You can pause the video here if you want to. We need to change this to an improper first. This reducing trick does not work unless you're working with improper fractions. So 1 times 9 and adding 2 gives you 11 over 9. And I'm going to make it 6 over 1 because any whole number can be written as a fraction if you just put 1 in the denominator. Okay, let's see what I can reduce here. 11 and 1 doesn't reduce. 11 and 9, no. 6 and 9 does reduce though. These both can be divided by 3. So when I divide 9 by 3, I get 3. And when I divide 6 by 3, I get 2. So this question becomes 11 over 3 times 2 over 1. Now I'm going to multiply. 11 times 2 is 22. And 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, so key thing here is that the rule behind multiplication is really straightforward. Just multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, but reduce before you do that. Okay, that's the end of the lesson.